And welcome into this episode of Crazy's Corner. We're doing redraft tradeaways today. We just recorded a show that was redraft trade forward. So if you're trying to look for some guys you want to add to your roster, you can go check out that show if you haven't already. If not, we're going to be talking about guys that maybe you have on your roster, and these are guys we're trying to move. We got Will from media. How are we doing, Will? Your Vikings are 4-0. You feeling like
4-0, baby. This is the best year to be a Viking fan because the expectations were shit, and now they're 4-0. No pressure. If they end up losing the rest of their games, that's what we thought was going to happen anyway. So I am enjoying this season.
Yeah, it's definitely been good. You guys just beat Green Bay, and the first half looked really good. Second half, not so much, but still won. So
it wasn't an interception. It was not an interception. He didn't have control of the ball, went out of bounds. If that's not an interception, the Vikings score, and the game's not even that close.
Yeah.
But
it is what it is. That's fair. So we each have one guy we're trying to trade away if we have him on our roster. I'm going to start us off with a Panther. If you have Chuba Hubbard on your roster, I think you got 1 to 2 more weeks to trade him away. Maybe you have a guy in your league that doesn't watch football too closely, doesn't pay attention, doesn't know Jonathan Brooks is coming back from IR probably next week or maybe the week after. I think he's going to eat into Chuba's touches, and right now Chuba's doing really well because of the volume. Miles Sanders is also getting in some work, but when you add Brooks into that backfield as well, I just think right now Chuba's coming off of 2 top 10 back weeks. So if you can go try and capitalize on that, some guy needs a running back for this week or next week. Maybe it's a guy who has Saquon Barkley on bye, a guy who lost Pacheco to injury, just someone who would need a running back now, a guy who maybe is waiting on Nick Chubb to come back, who they just opened up his practice window. Exactly. So go take Chuba, try and flip him for someone that's going to be able to help you out rest of season, because I think Chuba, once Jonathan Brooks gets back, like they're being cautious with Jonathan Brooks at this point. They're making sure he's 100% healthy for when he comes back. So when he comes back, he's going to start getting those touches. He's going to look really explosive. And Chuba's done great, and he's looked great. Mm-hmm. But I just think this is going to be a split backfield at best for Chuba. So if you can capitalize, even if you can get RB2 value for him right now, trade him for another running back, trade him for Kareem Hunt. I'd rather have Kareem Hunt rest of season, who maybe was talked about on the previous show that we just recorded about trade 4 candidates. So go check that as to why. But I would rather have Kareem Hunt. What about you, Will?
I agree with you. I think if you're going to move Chuba, you got to move him now. It'll be interesting. You're the resident Carolina fan. It'll be interesting to see how Carolina brings Brooks along. So, because I think people will try to push back on you. Well, Brooks is getting ready to start. But you got to be able to say, well, they're going to ease him in. So it's not like he's going to come in and just start that week. He'll probably get 25% of the carries. So Chuba's still going to get you points the rest of the season. Just won't be what you were used to the first couple of weeks. It can still be an important part of your team. But yeah, if you're going to move him, you got to move him now.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what you can sell. Yeah. I think once Jonathan Brooks, like I said, he probably could have been playing from the beginning of the season, and he would have been okay. The Panthers are just trying to make sure he's 100% because we know we're not doing anything this year. So when he comes back, maybe it's 25% of carries in his first game because it's his first NFL game, but I think it's going to pick up quick. So if you have Chuba, try and sell the fact that they're going to work him in slowly because I think it'll be at, like I said, best case scenario for Chuba. Come week 8, it's a 50-50 split.
Right.
50-50 split. And the offense is going to be, okay. Maybe he gets a touchdown every couple weeks, but it's going to be rough. Will, who are you trying to get rid of? He's a hot name at the moment.
If you have Davante Adams, move him now. Move him while the speculation is you're not sure where he's going. If he's going, I think the Raiders would have to move him. They've pretty much admitted they have to move him.
The Raiders website, if you go look at NFLshop.com, the day before the trade rumor was released, his jerseys were already the same price as like Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller's jerseys. So that was the day before. So he's definitely leaving.
Yeah. So if you're moving, I think the next 24, 48 hours, you can maximize your return. And I don't know if you're guaranteed really good stats with him if he goes to the Saints or the Jets. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, he'll be back with Aaron Rodgers," and yeah, you're going to get. I don't think it's a guarantee. I mean, Rodgers isn't what he used to be. Still great arm, can still put the ball in, but he's a sitting duck in that pocket, and we all saw that last week when they lost to Denver. Somehow they lost to Denver, and then the Saints. Honestly, if I would own him, I would want him to go to the Saints and not the Jets. But if you're trying to put a winning roster together, you need another one or two pieces. This is the time to move him because once the trade happens, I think the value goes down just a little bit, and then you're taking a risk. How does he play the rest of the year? And you just got to keep that in mind. So this is peak value, and if I had him, which I don't. But if I did, I would be moving him now to see if I could get a couple pieces that help me fill out my roster to actually win the league in the redraft year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think his value is high now because whoever's buying him is trying to sell themselves a story of where they want him to be. I would rather, if I had Davante Adams, I would rather have him in New York just due to the fact that I believe Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Derek Carr. But because if he goes to New York, it's going to be him and Garrett Wilson, which is not going to be great for either of them.
Oh.
And if he goes to
Garrett's numbers are down.
Yeah.
Garrett's numbers are down this year. He had better numbers with Zach Wilson than he had with Rodgers through 3 games.
Yeah, and then if he goes to the Saints, he's splitting with Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and Alvin Kamara, so that's not great. So if someone is going to have an opinion of, okay, he's going to go here and it's going to be good, and you got to sell him to that person, whether that person sold on him going to the Chiefs, which would be the only way his value goes through the roof. But I don't think the Raiders are ever going to trade him to the Chiefs.
No.
I don't see the Bills paying up for him. That's another team that needs a wide receiver, but I don't see the team paying up for him. So for me, I think he's going to be a Jet. The odds are favorite right now that he's going to be a Jet. So that's the way all the odds are leaning. And if he is a Jet, that hurts Garrett Wilson a lot. But to me, it's not. Like Davante Adams will probably score a touchdown a week because that's what we're seeing Allen Lazard do right now.
Yeah.
But that's probably about it by way of upside is a touchdown a week, and then he'll get his yards, but it's not going to be like he's going to be back in Green Bay where he's the wide receiver 1 on the season. So if you can find someone that wants to give you wide receiver 1 value,
so what would you take? What would you take for Adams? What do you think if you had him? And what player would make you say, "Yeah, I'll make that trade"?
So if I have Davante Adams, I would trade him for AJ Brown. Yeah. I'd rather have AJ Brown.
Yeah.
I would trade Adams if I need a running back. I would be trying to get a top 12 player at a certain position, or at least maybe a top 15 player and then another guy that I could start.
Yeah.
Just because I think that there is value for Davante Adams because anywhere he goes, his value is probably higher than it is on the Raiders.
Yeah. So in roster construction, like if you could get a top 2 tight end, because tight ends are hard this year, right? They're not producing a lot of points. It's a gap.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you had Adams and Nico Collins on your roster. Do you move Adams for a top tight end in someone like Brooks, who may be someone out of their roster, but they're not sure what they're getting, and therefore, because I think that's really something people have to think. Like, if you're going to move him, what are you getting in return, and what's the best value to get in return? Because I think you can probably replace some of the numbers in wide receiver. So if you're trading for another wide receiver, I'm not sure. It better be, like you said, AJ Brown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just off the top of the guy who's been injured and should be coming back. I think you have to get a top 12 because to me, Davante Adams could be a top 12, like a low end wide receiver 1 in New York because he's going to score every week.
Mm-hmm.
Because Aaron Rodgers, he's been targeting Allen Lazard in these scenarios right now. And Allen Lazard, I love Allen Lazard, but he's not the best wide receiver. So if you give him Davante Adams in that spot, he's going to score every week, so he will have some value there. So you've got to get for him, but if you can get that back for him, just in case he ends up, like I said, on the Saints, I don't love, like Chris Olave right now is not putting up amazing numbers.
No.
So add Davante Adams to that mess. And then Chris Olave is putting up worse numbers. Davante Adams is probably putting up a little bit better numbers than Chris Olave is right now, but he's not getting that touchdown a week. If he goes to Dallas, just a whole other mess.
No.
So, yeah.
Like you said, Kansas City would be ideal.
Yeah,
that might be, if he got traded to Kansas City and you made a trade, you might regret that.
If he goes to Kansas City, he's the wide receiver one. Like, that's it.
By far.
He's going to score week in, week out. He'll have 100 yards. But he's not going to Kansas City, so it doesn't matter. So, yeah, go capitalize. If you have someone in your league that thinks he's going to be a Chief, go all out. Get everything you can back in return.
Maybe share that with the league. Oh, there's a rumor. There's a Chiefs are in on him.
Yeah,
right?
Drive
up that price.
Yeah, and then try and trade him away. There you go. There's some trade tips. We got, try and trade up, just post some rumors for Davante Adams. And go target the guy who doesn't watch football and doesn't know that Jonathan Brooks is coming back. There we go. Definitely. 2 players we're trying to trade away, trying to get them off of our roster in case their value takes a dip. Hope you guys enjoyed. You can go check out the Trade 4 Candidates show. And then, like I said, check out Media. It's an amazing app. Virtual press conference. People can ask you questions. You can ask athletes questions. It's great. Go check it out. And thanks for watching.
Thanks, Zach.